recording. And I'm going to introduce Detective Richard Lee with the South Pasadena Police Department. And Richard, take it away. Thank you for being here this morning.
Thank you, Ms. Wheeler. Thank you very much, everybody else, for joining. I appreciate you taking your time out of your busy schedules. Let me just share a screen here. All right. Is everybody seeing this okay?
Yes, thank you.
All right. Real quick about myself, introduction, since you guys all introduce yourselves. My name is Richard Lee. I'm a detective here with the police department with my primary responsibility as a crime prevention officer and as a crime analyst. I've been here for going on 28 and a half years now as a full-time officer. But I grew up here in South Pasadena. Actually, I grew up off of Flores de Oro. So, Mr. Hernandez, I know exactly what you mean by going up and down those hills. I did it every years for Monterey Hill School, going up Vita Ray, Snake Trail for the junior high and the high school. So I know exactly what you mean.
All right, it's a good walk. It's a healthy walk.
Yeah, especially when you're that young and you're pushing a bicycle up that Snake Trail. Yes. It was easy going to school. I can get to school in like 30 seconds, but yeah, coming home, it was a little tougher. But today's presentation, we talk about scams and cons for businesses. Hopefully no one's been a victim yet, but we do want to talk about this topic because it is important, primarily also for residents, because that's really particularly go after, you might say. Before I do talk about the scams and cons, what happened? I just want to talk real quick about the commercial burglaries. I know I may have mentioned this in earlier in other presentations, but we did have a surge of commercial burglaries, like smash and grabs earlier in the year, and then it kind of died it off. But then it kind of came back, and in July, we had 8 smash and grabs to businesses. Currently in August, we had 4. 2 of them occurred at the golf course, like a day after each other, you might say. One thing we do want to stress, though, is if you have surveillance videos, if you can please try to download that for us as soon as possible. This picture here, we see dead center where this guy's about to smash the windows at Rite Aid at early morning. You can see about 2:51. The officer's got an alarm call on this, and he didn't get in, but the officer went there for the alarm call, and the responsible party for Rite Aid came and they reviewed this video right away. This is okay, this guy here. Well, about half hour later, the officer was driving patrol down the Gold Line platform area at Mission Meridian. He sees a guy just like this. He had a bag in his hand, had this big trash bag, and he realized, hey, that's the same guy I saw in the video at Rite Aid. And sure enough, pretty much he identified. I mean, granted, it's kind of blurry, but based on the picture and what he was holding, it was good enough to basically detain him and eventually arrest him. So that was great that he was able to review that footage so quickly, because if he hadn't, it would just have been another, oh, hi, how you doing, sir, type of call. But because he was able to see that video so quickly, we were able to piece together and the person was arrested. So we do please urge people on businesses, try to get the video for us as quickly as possible. Real quick crime prevention tips, please lock your doors and windows, keep expensive items locked in a safe, secured. We do recommend good lighting, both interior and exterior. Interior, just so that if patrol officers are driving down the street, if your store is lit up from the inside, at least it allows them to see inside the store. If you turn the lights off as they drive by, we can't see anything. Well, somebody could be inside there, we just won't even see them. So we do recommend putting some kind of lights inside the store. Alarm systems are great. Please, if you do have them, advertise it and make sure that the signs or stickers can be visible day and night time. And of course, if you do go to your business in the morning and you see like a smashed window or a pried door, please don't go inside the store and try to look for yourself. Call the police department immediately. Let us come in. We'll go inside the store to make sure no one's inside. All right. As far as the scams and cons, throughout the presentations, I may say scams, and I may say the word cons, scams and cons. They're basically synonymous. Scam means swindle by means of a trick. Con is usually meant for a con artist, short for confidence artist. Basically, someone who tries to defraud you by gaining your trust, you might say. Scams, I know some people say, well, I just got scammed. I've never heard of this before. It may be something new, but actually scams and cons are nothing new. They've been around for a long time. In fact, they often said the first scam actually occurred back in biblical times. The book of Genesis shows that Jacob tried to con his father, Isaac, into believing that he was his older brother, Esau, into getting the family blessing or inheritance, you might say. And since then, really nothing's changed. Nowadays, you have scams. I'm sure everybody's heard these scams where people call on the phone, say, Miss Wheeler, I'm your grandkid. Richard, remember? I've been in an accident. I need you to wire me some money. Some of you may have heard that type of scam. It's no different from what they did back in biblical times, except that he used a telephone or the internet instead of in person. But basically, the variation is the exact same thing. So these scams have been around for a long time, different variations to it. They're just to tailor it to what you need. But understand scams have been around for a long time. The scams that we've seen, most of it occurs mainly to residents or the people, not so much to businesses, which is good. But those that do target the people, and you're talking not just elderly, but you're talking everybody from teenagers all the way to the elderly. They target everyone. That is a huge issue in our city. We'll get scams or some type of scam or con reported to us at least once or twice a month. So that is quite a bit for our small cities. They rarely hit the businesses in our city, although we've had several, but nothing like the amount we get for residents. And again, just knowing the different type of scams that are out there with some variations is the best way to prevention. The good thing about scams is they're nonviolent crimes. It's not like a robbery where they have a gun or a knife and they're saying, hey, give me the money, stick them up, type of thing like that. No, these con artists, they're going to be very friendly. One, they're very, very good talkers. They're going to be your best friend. They want to why? Because they're trying to gain your confidence. That's what they're trying to do. And once they gain that confidence, that's when they're going to try to defraud you, you might say. They often work by deception. And again, they have excellent people skills. Real quick, we all know about all companies and businesses and organizations are legitimate. Are they true or false? Or false? And that's important to know because a lot of residents fall for these, what they believe were legitimate companies, like American Cancer Organization. Well, it's actually American Cancer Society, but it plays on those words. They think, oh yeah, I heard of you. Oh yeah, I'll donate to you. Same thing to businesses. They may represent a different type of business to you and says, oh yeah, I've heard of you before. Okay, yeah, this cleaning company. Yeah, okay, no problem. So understand that all these business names could be false. All internet websites are legitimate. Well, I can tell you, big false on that one. You can make up any domain name and go online and pretend it's yours. There's a lot of different false companies around that they make a name similar, like say Bank of America. All they do is copy and paste pictures from their actual website into theirs. And then you may think it's a legitimate website when it's really not. The biggest issue we have with these scammers is sometimes they do operate on a gray area of the law. They haven't broken it, but it's not really legit. They're kind of in a gray area. So if I say to Miss Wheeler, hey, Miss Wheeler, guess what? You are the lucky winner of a brand new solar heater. Congratulations. South Pasadena, Green Society, Green City, they have electric vehicles. Mr. Cacciati is really pushing for, the electric lawnmowers and everything. God, this is great. You are so lucky to win this, Miss Wheeler. All you have to pay is a small processing fee and shipping and handling of just $49.99. That's it. Simple, $49.99. That's it. You are a brand new owner of a solar heating in South Pasadena. You're thinking, oh, wow, that's excellent. It's free. Great. And I ship you this. Now, the big question is, did I do anything wrong? Right? It's a gray area, right? $49.99 for a clothespin and a line. Well, it's not theft because I sent you something. It would be different to say you sent me the money and I never gave you any, I never sent you anything. Okay, that's, yes, you have theft on that part. I did send you something. Now, the question becomes is, did I do something illegal? Well, is it a solar heater? Well, yes, it is for clothes. You may have thought that, oh, I'm thinking it was solar panels for the house or something like that. Well, I never said solar panels. I said solar heater. Okay, so yeah, did you overpay? Yeah, you could have gone to a 99-cent store and bought this for $1.50, right? You could have done that, but that's no different from a smart shopper who goes to like Nordstrom's and buy a nice suit where you could have bought it at Macy's or, Suit for Less or something like that for the same suit for cheaper. So that becomes a smart shopper issue. So this is why we have sometimes a gray area of the law. I know Miss Willie would get this and says, hey, I want this guy arrested. I got scammed out of this. But when we look down to it, you really didn't. So that's one issue we have about these scammers, because they play right in this gray area of the law. So you really have to be careful. If you actually get these, letters that says you win a certain prize, if you really want to get it, you really got to ask specific questions so we understand each other. It's like, well, what is a solar heater? Is that a solar panel? Exactly, send me pictures of it, of what I'm going to win. If you really want to get into it, then yes. Because if you ask for pictures and I send you this, you'll probably say, forget it. But if I send you a picture of a solar panel and I send you this, then yes, that's a different story as well. So really be careful about that. I'll just talk about a couple scams that we've seen to businesses. We've seen a lot more to residents though. And some variations, like I said, do occur to residents. They just tailor it to a business. This is probably one of the biggest things is the distraction thefts. And I know it's kind of a funny picture we see here, a little duck there taking money, but the little duckies are distracting, the lady. But in actuality, this is actually true in a sense. This is actually what happens. Distraction thefts involves two or more suspects. For residents, they usually target females, especially at the shopping centers, the grocery stores. We see this a lot, where one person would distract the female and the second person would take the wallet out of the purse. They often immediately use the credit cards. In fact, we had one incident at Bristol Farms where the person stole her wallet, went right to the cashier, bought his own groceries with her credit card and walked away. This has occurred at Bristol Farms. You can see this guy kind of just nonchalantly reaches his arm inside the shopping cart of the victim and he steals her wallet. His counterpart was like distracting the victim. We've had this at Ralph's. This guy at the corner. This isn't the exact video for Ralph's, but it's the only one I could find. This guy at the corner of the car, basically, as the guy's reversing his car out of the stall, he hits the car and claims, "Oh, you ran over my foot or you hit me." Oh, one of those things. Then I need to get money to go to the doctor's office. This one we've seen a couple of times at our ARCO station down on Mission Street in Orange Grove, where the lady actually goes out, tries to pay for the gas, or she went inside the actual gas station. The guy basically came out of his car, went to her car, and took her wallet out. That's not any different from
Richard, on that last one, the best remedy to that is to lock the doors as you're getting the gas.
Just be aware. That's the main thing, is that because in that one incident, we had one where the lady was actually like this at the gas pump, and the one where we actually went inside the gas. If you're going inside to pay for your gas to go inside the gas station, then yes, you can lock your door. In this situations, her back is turned. Normally, once she pumps her gas, she's going to be looking around. But you do have that one, minute or two where your back is facing the car and you can't see anything. Now, do we say lock your car just for that one incident? Well, you may not have to, but just keep aware of what your surroundings. We always say that. It's basically no different from if you're using an ATM machine. You walk up to the ATM, you leave your car totally blind behind you. And we've had this once years ago where the person went to the ATM like this. The person came in and stole his car because he left it running, and it didn't help that he left the door open too. So the guy just said, "Oh, how nice!" He jumped in, threw it in reverse, and he was gone. So the main thing is just be aware of your surroundings like that. With the distraction thefts with storage inside, it's basically the same thing. They'll come in pairs. One person would distract the employee, either ask questions or get you around to one corner of the store, while his partner will go to the other end of the store, basically, and take items. Their main idea is to split the group up. So you have to keep an eye on one or two of them. We've had an incident too where they brought little kids. They had the kids run around the store while the mom basically was on the other end. And of course, the employee was trying to keep track of, oh, wait, these kids are running around. I got to make sure they don't damage anything or push anything over. And that's when the mother basically was shoplifting items. We've had other instances too where they don't just take shoplift, but they've often go to the back rooms too and go to the employees' areas, you might say, and steal stuff there. So with that, we do recommend, if you can, lock the rear offices, if you have any cabinets. If you do walk with a cash register to speak to a customer, be sure you lock the cash register, so even if you're not there, they can't access it at all. Bigger stores, they have those sensor tags so that if you walk out the front door, the sensors would, alarm sounds will go off. Yeah, you can put those up in your stores for expensive items, but they are expensive about that. Again, if you're alone, try to avoid walking away from the register area. It may be kind of hard sometimes if you have to help customers, but just be cautious about that. If you do have to walk away, be sure you lock the registers. Definitely keep expensive items locked up. And if you can, allow only one item to be seen at a time, otherwise it gets confusing. And above all, try not to get distracted by just the one person. I know it's hard to keep an eye on everybody, but try not to focus your attention on that one customer, especially if there's multiple. If they came in together, you definitely got to be careful about that. The fire extinguisher scam, we've had this, I want to say almost 4 or 5 years ago. This happened in a couple stores. A person came in and claimed to be a fire inspector. And he claims that, hey, I got to inspect your fire extinguishers. At one point, they asked that I would service your fire extinguisher. Basically, it's a ruse, you might say, that for his reason for being there. Either they're going to be there to inspect or they're going to service your fire extinguisher. That subject, again, walks around the store and he either steals items or he's going to ask for a payment because I serviced it and he really didn't do anything. Keep in mind that the fire department, the South Pasadena Fire Department, does an annual inspection. They can walk in to a store and do an inspection. They won't charge for it. They can't charge. And all they do is just look at the tags on the fire extinguisher as far as the dates. They will not surface it. They can. They just ask you, hey, this fire extinguisher may be out of date. You're going to have to call a fire extinguisher company to help service it, recharge it or something like that. But they would never charge for it, and they always do show an ID. They'll also come in with a form like this, do check boxes of what's good and what's in violation, and explain it to you. If you do have any questions about a fire inspection, they'll be in uniform for one thing. That's the dead giveaway. They will be in a South Pasadena Fire Department uniform. Just call the fire department to verify them, though. The gift card scams. This is probably the biggest scam we see today, not just for businesses, but for residents. Very, very common about this stuff. But for businesses, they're going to claim that they're from Edison or utility company and basically say, hey, you didn't pay your electrical bill. We got to shut your power off right away because you didn't pay. We've had several stores says, "Oh my gosh, I can't do that. I have customers here right now. I can't do that. So okay, well, what I have to do? You got to buy this gift card or the Apple card, and then send me the code," type of thing like that. We did have one where the person said that he was the Pasadena Water and Power, and he didn't pay for it. Luckily, the person he was speaking to, the store owner, says, "You're from Pasadena Water and Power?" And he goes, "Yeah, I'm in South Pasadena." Yeah, basically guy hung up. They basically, claim that your utility bill is overdue, and just the threat of turning off the utility, that's basically what they're trying to prey on. It's your fear of panic, or, "Oh my gosh, I can't have my power turned off." That's what they're praying for. They're just praying for that. They're going to be very demanding. Of course, they're going to ask for immediate payment with gift cards. We don't see too much asking for cryptocurrency, but we actually see a couple of that. But the bulk of it is usually like a gift card, though.
Richard, Yvonne had a question. Yvonne, do you want to just ask your question? It's about solar companies, but it probably would apply to other businesses as well.
Yes, there have been a number of people coming into the neighborhoods. And I'm seeing on Nextdoor that they're experiencing it too. People come and ask if you're interested in having solar installed, and on Nextdoor they're saying, well, these are legitimate vendors and representatives, and they're just working the afternoon to evening shift because that's when people are going to be home. How can we differentiate? How can we know that they're real or not?
Well, that's the tough thing, is there's nothing in the code, in the city code, that says anybody can walk up to your door and ask you to sell something. It's when they start doing business, then you need to see a business license. You can ask them, "Hey, do you have a business license?" Just to make sure you're legit, for one thing, like you're a legit company. They should have a license for the business. Doesn't mean that they have a city license yet, because you have to do business in the city. They could be soliciting. Anybody can solicit for solar panels or whatever, gardening services or whatever. They can do that, sure. But it's up to you if you really want it. We tell our kids, "Hey, don't open doors to strangers." We should be any different. They knock on your door, you can ask. You don't have to open it. You can ask, "Can I help you? We're looking for solar panels. If you're interested," you can say, "No, I'm not interested. Thank you very much." If you are interested in solar panels, I would probably recommend researching it yourself on the internet, asking your friends and neighbors about if you guys have solar panels. Oh, you do? What company do you use? Do you recommend them? I tend to shy away from someone knocking on my door and just say, "Hey, do you want this? You want to buy it from me?" Without researching who they are. If you're interested about the company, you can say, "Well, give me a brochure," or find out who they are first, and then do a search and see how legitimate they are. Check reviews, whether Yelp or something like that, and say, "Hey, they got 1 star. I ain't gonna use them." But yeah, most of the time, if you're really interested in a product or a service like that, you definitely want to do your research, because the solar panels, they aren't cheap. They're expensive, depending how many panels you get. Usually for a house, you're talking about 30 grand or so. I mean, yes, there's a bunch of tax breaks, but yeah, they're not cheap. But good question, though. Definitely do your research on any company.
Thanks. And one of the other parts of their approach is that installation at no cost to the owner, and they will help you reduce your energy bill. How much is your current energy bill?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, a lot of
That
times they may
wording sends up red flags for me.
yeah, they may say, "Hey, we can help finance. Don't worry, we have special rates for you." Yeah, I'm sure you do have a special rate for me, like 100% rate. Yeah, I'm sure you do. But yeah, I mean, just be careful about all that. Like I said, if you're really serious about it, research it yourself. most of the time just say, I'm not interested, and just walk away. They keep talking, well, you can talk to the door, but have a nice day. That's about it. I wouldn't even bother listening to their whole sales pitch type of thing at that point. Just thank you very much, not interested.
Richard?
Yes.
Richard, hi, this is Charles. Yeah,
Hi,
I
Charles.
just wanted, being in finance, we've come up against this before. And there was a bill passed probably about 3 or 4 years ago about this, and that was with solar panels. A lot of people, you hear they say, oh yeah, it doesn't cost you anything to put it in. And they give you this song and dance, but they have been known to put mechanics liens against your home. And a bill was passed to try to regulate that a little bit better. So I just let everyone know, yeah, if it is, even if they are legit, you really need to read into it and find out how you're going to pay that solar loan back. Because if you're late, like 45 days, they'll slap that. Well, they put the lien on anyway. And when you go to refi your house or sell it, you got this big old lien on it.
Yes.
And they were charging 18-19% at one point. So yeah, just be real careful with those. In my business, if it sounds too good, it's not good, and we get a lot of scam calls, people purporting to be a member. We do educate people too. We educate our members. We're constantly educating them on all these scams. Now, one last thing I had, Richard, was, the recent thing over near Beverly Hills where people are not allowed to wear a mask into this particular store now, because they're hiding their identity. Have you
Yes.
guys come up against a lot of that? I'm sure.
Nothing like that. I mean, our health code, we've pretty much follow LA County because we don't have our own health department. So we pretty much follow LA County guidelines. But yeah, I remember, like you said, pre-COVID, you used to see signs at the bank, remove your mask, remove your hat type of thing like that. I know it was a joke type of thing, but during the COVID period, you're right. We had a lot of issues with burglars, and we still do. We have surveillance videos of burglars. They were wearing the hoodies like this,
Right.
and they wore the mask. And all I see is this,
Yep.
and then people are telling us, "Find that guy." Yeah, okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
He looks just
Wow.
like everybody else, and it's really, really difficult
Yeah.
to identify, the suspects. And unfortunately, we've had a lot of residential burglaries up in the Monterey Hills area. They've given
Wow.
us videos, and all I see is this. I can see barely
Yep.
see the color of his skin. That's it.
God.
Yeah, that's the issue.
Yeah. You guys have a tough job.
Well, so do you at the bank too. I'm sure.
Yeah, we do.
You must see a lot of the frauds.
Oh, we
not
get them.
just-
Yeah, we get them every day. Every single day we have something. We have online account opening where you can open your membership online. And we had a guy that just pulled some names out of the sky, and he's trying to open these accounts, but we have sophisticated systems that stop it. We run the OFAC and all of that. And so we shut down last Friday, 22 possible scam accounts coming through online. And that's pretty normal, So I have to hire somebody just to do that,
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's
Joan, you
funny.
had a question. Joan, you had a question?
Yeah, Richard, we're one of those one of those few people that has a landline. And on our phone, we've started to get a lot of those calls that come in and it says scam risk. What is that coming from, and how do they know it's a scam risk?
You must have an ID, caller ID, right? You
Uh-huh.
must have that.
Yeah.
A lot of times, the companies will actually put, if they know there's a lot of different a lot of phone numbers, basically what happens is that phone, they get all these different numbers and it knows immediately if it's a spam or not. Because sometimes I believe it takes their, who the phone is registered to. Like if you
Okay.
call me, it'll say your name, Joan.
Right.
But a lot of these, the biggest issue we have is these VoIP things, voice over internet protocols, because if you get those numbers, all it comes back is one long number, like a V,
Yeah.
and it has like 30 different numbers.
Right.
Sometimes those phones or the call ID would take that into consideration. So wait a minute, this is not a legit number. Basically, what they do.
Okay.
But yeah, you're right. These landlines, I mean, robocalls is a huge thing. You always get press 1 for this. You know, we can reduce your rate. Press this.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
But it's good you used your caller ID. We recommend that for everybody. Just don't answer the calls. You know, and most people have their cell phones that if they're gonna call, they know you're expecting a call. They're gonna call your cell phones. Not many people use landlines anymore, but it is still good to have one though. Definitely for emergencies. Absolutely.
Right. Right. Well, thank you very much.
As far as the gift card scams too, yeah, a lot of legitimate companies, they're not going to call you out of the blue and say, we're going to turn your power off. They're going to send you letters and notices, you know, 2 or 3 notices in the mail. Then they never really call you. In fact, if you think of it, how many of these electrical or gas companies even have your phone number? I never gave them my number when I opened an account. I don't recall ever doing that. I gave them my address, meter number, sure, but they really don't have your phone number. So that's one way is, you know, it's a scam because I never gave you my number. How'd you get hold of me? And no legitimate utility or even government agency is ever going to ask for payments in gift cards or especially cryptocurrency. You know, cryptocurrency is more of a investment type of thing anyways, than more of a payment. If you really feel you do owe for, you know, any back or unpaid utilities, just call the office themselves, call the gas company and verify it. And the biggest thing is, remember, gift cards are just that. They're gifts. They're not for payments. Otherwise, they'd be called payment cards or something like that. So if anybody, any company ever says, oh, Charles, can you send us $1,000 in gift cards to pay for your electrical bill? Of course, gift cards, is it your birthday? Why am I paying you a gift card? Sorry. No, that's usually a big flag. And that's even if they call you for non-business, if it's a resident, you're off the street, you get these calls and they demand payment for gift cards. You know, just that's basically the red flag right there. Oh,
Richard, can you go back and just, what are the advantages now? So many people don't have landlines. In your opinion, what is the advantage and why should we still have a landline?
landlines are good. A lot of issues you have with cell phones is if you call 911 from your cell phone, depending where you're at, yes, it'll ping too close to you. But remember, cell phones work on 3 towers. So especially if you live on the edge of our city, like say like Alpha or even parts of Monterey Road, where close to LA, if you push 911, you could actually get LAPD because the tower could be figuring out that, oh, you're in LA, and then you'll jump to the LAPD. That's one issue. Second issue, if a tower goes down and like in a natural disaster, the tower goes down with a power outage or something like that, your cell phone's useless at that point. Cell phones, hard lines are great because if you ever call 911, you don't have to say anything. On our computer monitor, it'll say your name and your address. That's the good thing. And it's good for alarms that way too, because the same thing, if your power goes out, you may not be able to get a signal out, but because it's a hard line, you always get a signal pretty much. The only way you don't is if the phone line itself goes out. But even without power, your telephone will work. I'm sure we all remember those old days when we had those old telephones with the rotary dials or push buttons. They had no power for that, right? You just take your phone line, just stick it in, and it works. For emergency purposes, you know what? Those are actually a good idea. Maybe you should keep your old rotary phone just in case, because if there's no power at your house, you can still have a landline. And back in 2011, when we had that big windstorm, a lot of business and a lot of homes had no power. Parts of the city had no power for over a week. None. They have to use generators or just ask people for help. But in that sense, I still have a phone at least for emergencies. My alarm system, most alarm systems has a battery backup anyways for a short time at least. But if it sends out a signal out to us, if it activates, that's still good. And plus, the main thing we always recommend too is if you ever have to call 911, it comes off right away. We know exactly where to go. 1422 Mission Street. Okay, we know where to go.
Yeah,
that's part of the thing.
Something that came out in the CERT training, that a landline will give the emergency operator, the 911 operator, the exact location, whereas the cell phone, as you said, is using a tower. And so it's an approximation of where the call is coming from.
Yes, and also the cell phones will give us sometimes subscriber information, like, oh, we know it's Miss Wheeler at 1422. One issue you have is, suppose like if Miss Wheeler is my auntie, I'm gonna be nice. I'm gonna pay for her subscription. I'm paying for her phone bill. Well, if she calls 911, it's gonna come up Richard Lee in say Santa Monica, maybe where I live. Well, Miss Wheeler's in South Pass, but the subscriber information is coming back to me because I'm paying for it, not her. So we've had that issue a couple times. Our dispatchers run into that issue. So that's another reason why hardlines are actually good.
And actually, some years ago, someone tried to pay my phone bill.
Oh, how nice.
Put the phone in their name. And so, but without my knowledge and without my permission. And so that's another trait of an abuser. So be aware.
Yes. The fake OSHA inspector, we've had this happen to a business where they basically call, instead of a utility company though, they claim to be from an OSHA inspector. And they said that, hey, your manager or your corporate approved the ordering of these special sanitizing equipment and you just got to pay for it. And the person at the store was like, oh, okay, if corporate said it's okay, I guess so. He ended up sending money over to them. Basically, they requested to wire the payment. There's never any face-to-face contact. Everything was done on the phone. While OSHA can do inspections, their primary focus though is on industrial, not so much small businesses. And if they do come to your business, which they can, they're gonna be in person. They'll show ID with a picture to show them who they are. They'll explain the reason for the visit, and they usually ask you to come with them as they do walk through the inspection period. Excuse me. After the inspection, they'll go over the report with you, and they're basically, like I said, mainly going for employees' safety. They're never going to ask for payment. Okay, they may say, hey, we can fine you for this much, but I'm not going to say you can collect it. No, you just mail it into a certain place. Quick chain scams. We've had a couple of these, and I know from our intelligence meeting from surrounding agencies, I think it was Glendale and Pasadena have had seen some quick chain scams that we're starting to see. We've had it where they basically come in and buy an item, and they start talking to you, and they give you a big bill, and then you start, giving you change. You start giving change, and then start saying, "Oh, you know what? Can I get just a 10 instead of 1? Give me a 5," to try to confuse you. And of course, as they do that, they're going to talk to you too, as like, "Oh, Miss Wheeler, you got a beautiful story here." As you make this change, they kind of talk to you. Why? Because they're trying to distract you. Because it's hard for you to count the change and answer my questions at the same time. And that's what they're trying to do, is just really trying to confuse your mind. So wait, did they count 5? Well, did it count 6? And most of these quick change, you're like talking maybe $5 or $10, maybe even 20 at the most. It's not like $100 or something like that obvious. No, because after they go to you, Miss Wheeler, guess what? I'm going to go to Charles at the bank and do the same thing. After that, I'm going to go to Joan. After that, I'm going to go to, Mr. Hernandez. And I hit 6, 7 stores. Next thing you know, I got a couple $100 total. So they're pretty smart about that. This one, quick video. You got to be quick to watch this guy's hands. Right there. Oops. Another type of quick change, you might say, is right there. You can see this guy's left hand come up as he looks at the cash register. All it takes is 1 second. You can see him pocket it right there. And now he says, hey, wait a minute, you didn't bring me enough money. And sure enough, like you said, he gets 20 bucks. But again, like I said, I do that to 4 stores or 5 stores. You know, I got $100. Not bad for a day's work. You know, but something to keep in mind about quick chains scam artists. It's not always just small bills that they're counting out. It could be something like this, where they just sneak away. You took one look for just a brief second. You see how fast he uses his left hand to take that bill out and put it in his pocket. So really be cautious of customers who pay for small items with large bills. Some places have, you know, we only accept $20 bills, no higher than that. So make it a little easier. Above all, handle one transaction at a time. A lot of times they'll say, hey, hand me $3, hand me a $5, or I'll give you this change. Do one thing at a time. Don't get confused by that. Keep the bills given by the customer on the register while you make the change, so everything's in front of you. And above all, stay focused on the transaction and not to get confused with the customer's storyline. He's going to distract you. Like I said, oh, you got a beautiful store. What about this item? Oh, this is great. Try not to get distracted by that.
I guess I'm from the old school, and I really dislike it when they hand you all of your change back without counting it back to you. The way we were taught many, many years ago, if they give you a 20, you count back with the item so that you know that you've got the exact change. I wish our cashiers would learn to do that.
Yes, definitely. It seems like everybody's in a hurry, and nowadays it seems like people who pay by cash is kind of like, wow, I haven't seen cash in a long time. Everybody pulls out their phones. Oh, Apple Pay, you know, beep or something like that. You know, the credit card is scam is huge now because the pay at the point pay pay systems. I don't even have to show my credit card to the cashier anymore. Remember the old days too? On the back of the credit card, you'll say CID, and hopefully the person will see that. Oh, can I see your driver's license? Nobody does that because they don't have to. I can just take my credit card, swipe it my own, and I'm done. And unfortunately, we've had a lot of credit card fraud like that, where if they just took the time to just look at the card, it's like a woman's name, and I see that you're a guy, you know, can I see some ID? You know, that's one issue we see is like with the wallet thefts. They take the credit card and they use it right away. Well, no one checks. They can use that. They go to Target, buy a gift cards and stuff like that. That seems to be the biggest issue. They just buy gift cards. But you're right. You know, you just take out that human interaction now. It's everything just point of sale. That's it. Go to the gas station. I don't have to see the cashier. Just point of sale right there. Pump my gas. Have a nice day. You don't have to see anybody. And that's the issue we see with the credit card fraud with that. I'm sure Charles sees the same thing at the bank, you know, all these discharges coming out. You know, but yeah, it's huge.
Yeah, we get chargebacks every day. There's somebody charged back. You know, they do have verified by Visa, but you know, they're, you know, that particular item is well protected. The merchants have some sort of protection. As long as they state that they saw ID, then they don't have to take the loss. We do.
Ooh.
You know, so, you know, it kind of falls back and forth, but yeah, you're right, Sam. You know, when I was a teller back in the mid 70s, going to college, part-time teller at the bank, we had to count that money out. I mean, you know, you were taught to count it out of your drawer, count it up to the counter, and count it to the customer 3 times. And you hand them that money. Now, if they want change, they're going to give you another bill or whatever they need to do, and the same process would happen. So you had real good interaction, but right now it's the cost of doing business, they say, and it's all about, you know, move, efficiency, and efficiency has cost a great deal for a lot of companies.
Yes, absolutely. So just general safety tips. I think Charles or Mr. Hernandez mentioned this. You know, if an offer seems too good to be true, it is. If you do become a victim of a scam or a con, report it, even for a business. I know a lot of residents sometimes don't report it because they feel embarrassed that they got tricked and they don't want to tell anybody. But please do. If anything, it's to alert your other fellow businesses that, hey, this happened. We got to watch out for it. As I mentioned, alert your neighboring businesses, alert the Chamber of Commerce. Let Miss Wheeler know so she can send it out email-wide to all the businesses. Because if the guy's hitting Mission, well, he's probably hitting Fair Oaks too, possibly maybe down to Huntington. And alert everybody to know this, what's going on. That hey, I got scanned by the quick change artist. Oh, you know, something I better tell my cashiers now. Hey, you guys got to be careful. 2 stores on Mission Street got this. We got to make sure that we're vigilant too. Okay, and be careful about this.
You know, I'm just wondering how they seem to be coming right and left for me. How often do we want to? Where's the cutoff line? What's the threshold for, because oh God, even Angie's List and that Home Advisor did a real wonderful number last Wednesday, in fact, while I was going crazy getting to transportation. I just, it's astounding, and it's so frequent. I'm sorry. I'll show
Oh
you.
yeah, definitely. I mean, look at all those scam calls you probably get on your phone every single day. You know, it's no different. Absolutely. You know, for every 10 calls you get, only one's probably legit. As far as a cutoff, I'm not sure if you meant like a monetary or something like that, whether the guy just ripped off, say, like $3 or $4. Well, I can absorb that. You know, it's only $3 or $4. I'm not going to bother. But you should though, because like I said, if it's getting $3 or $4 from you, and he's getting $3 or $4 from, you know, Mr. Hernandez, Miss Wheeler, it'll add up.
It'll add up. That's right.
Yeah. And you just want to be sure that you let everybody know in the business community, watch out. This trend is happening, so we can get updated and, oh, okay, so I better watch out for this. Just remember, credit cards can be canceled, but those debit cards, gift cards, they can't be. Know the different type of scams that are out there. Like I said, they're just going to tailor it to themselves. For internet type of scams, you can file reports with the FBI, Internet Crime Compliance Center, called IC3s. We do have our scams and con booklets available on our website. I can send hard copies to you, but it's a booklet that has scams that we often see in the city. While it's tailored mainly to the residents, you know, like I said, they can just easily modify it to a business. So as long as you understand that the different types out there, that's better prevention for you. And the Federal Trade Commissions, they offer this booklet specifically for businesses as well. I can send the PowerPoint to Ms. Wheeler, because if you click the link at the bottom of each, it'll take it right to the booklets to download.
Well, and on that note, I do want to just introduce, just mention a couple other things. I know Richard puts out a crime prevention notification. It's in the paper every week. And the Neighborhood Watch newsletter that has a lot of helpful hints is on the police department website.
Oh, thank you very much, Ms. Wheeler. Yes.
And
I
I do
love that.
one other thing that's happened. I know it. You know, if your business deals with a lot of cash, like the farmers market does, be aware of counterfeit bills. And it's not always the hundreds that are counterfeit. Sometimes we've gotten caught with counterfeit tens, believe it or not. You know, we take it to the bank and the bank says this is no good, and it's only a $10 bill. So you know, you don't even really pay attention to it. And even the hundreds, if you use one of those marking pens, that doesn't always catch it. So, you know, you don't see, as Detective Lee said earlier, you don't see bills that often, but there are a lot of counterfeit bills out there, and they'll do the same thing. They'll buy a bag of popcorn for $5 and pay with $100 bill and get all the cash back.
Yep.
Yes. Do a lot of your merchants at the farmers market, are they seeing a big trend where it's now going like electronic payments with wallet pays or stuff like that?
Yeah, I think with the pandemic, a lot of the vendors switched over to being able to accept either Venmo or you know, some sort of credit card payment, because people just weren't using cash. So obviously that's increased, you know, as you said, with scams.
Okay. And of course, my contact information here if you have any questions. And I could send this PowerPoint as a PDF to Ms. Wheeler, and so everybody has my my information as well.
Well, Detective Lee, thank you so much. This was really
Very nice.
interesting. We could go on for another 2 hours, I'm
Yes.
sure. But I am recording this. I'm going to stop